Sweet. Tell me when we're live.
We're actually live.
Oh shit, we're live. Hey. Hello everyone.
Watch your
Welcome to
language.
Sorry. Hello everyone. We're now live.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome to Imagination Sessions.
Welcome.
We are your hosts. I'm David Tobin.
I'm Elizabeth
It's
Saint.
Elizabeth Saint. It's Elizabeth Saint. You probably already know that. This is a really fun thing that we get to do every week. We took last week off because I actually took a vacation, a little downtime, which was amazing. And I encourage everyone to do that. And Elizabeth is going to do it soon too. It's
I
going to be amazing.
am
She
one
is.
day
She is.
in the future.
She knows if she doesn't soon, I'm going to show up there and it's just going to happen. So one way or another, it's happening very soon. So what we're going to do today, we have a really special guest today on our Imagination Sessions I'm really excited about. He's an old friend of mine. We worked together and produced a wonderful TV show years ago, and he has become quite the author since leaving the world of reality TV. We had him on our show before once too, didn't we, Elizabeth?
We did. Back when it was just Audiojack sessions.
Just Audiojack sessions, which is, that. Now this is a little bit different, and it's exciting. Yeah. He has a special guest with him again this time. So I think we bring him in. Without further ado,
bring him.
It's Matt Harry and his lovely wife, Julianne. And voila! Hello!
Hey, guys!
There you go. I think we bring him in. Without further ado, mute the volume on your computer playing the stream.
Sorry, we weren't sure when you were bringing us in.
It's just like a magic show. You know?
So this is not just me. I'm here with my wife and creative collaborator, Julianne. Julianne actually did the cover for my last two books.
Really?
At Cryptozoology for Beginners, and she did the cover for Super Kid.
I love it.
That's awesome.
First. So we thought it'd be fun because my parents were here last time. It's like, how do you top the parents? So we wanted to bring Julianne in. My kids were kind of interested, and then it was like, I don't know, a 5-year-old and a 10-year-old with all of us in a room. Recipe for disaster.
That might be.
The two of us. Yeah.
I love it. I think it's really fun. You as well. Thanks for joining us, and congratulations on the new creation. Hold that up again.
Yeah,
Tell everyone what's going on here.
So this is our new book, Super Kid. So the first couple books I wrote, Sorcery for Beginners and Cryptozoology for Beginners, were about magic, and this one is obviously about superheroes. We all happen to have them all right here.
She's got them.
So this is about a 13-year-old comic book fan, which I was growing up, who wants to be a superhero, but he's very ordinary. And then his dad gets remarried, and they have a new baby who the son hates, until he discovers one day she has a superpower. She can modify her electromagnetic field as like an instinct, a protective instinct. So she can, like, if you drop her, she bounces. If you throw her, she'll like bounce off of it. And so because he's 13 and he loves comic books, his first thing that he thinks of is, oh my gosh, I can use my sister to be a superhero. So he starts taking out to fight crime, which is obviously very not well advised, but leads to about a bunch of fun adventures. So kind of like with what we did with magic for the first one, kind of like making fun of magic and like the tropes of sorcery a little bit, we do with this one with superheroes. And, if you have a baby superhero, she has to have her diaper changed. She doesn't always want to do what you want her to do. So we have a lot of fun with
that. I love it. That's awesome.
I think it's great. I can't wait to read it.
Yeah, and then Julianne had the great idea when we did the cover of like making it look like a kind of vintagey comic book. I don't know if you can see the little dots on there.
Yeah.
So it's got that
that's really cool.
Like old school registration that they used to do on comic books.
Yes.
Which I thought was a really cool idea to do. So we had fun on it. Although it's always hard when you're working on stuff and you're married. Where's the separation between talk and relationship talk?
So how did that fare? Did it go okay? Well, you're both still here.
Yes, we're both still here. I mean, he comes with requests before coffee. They just don't get honored. I mean, it's like,
So the workday starts at 10:30 for sure, not before. There were a couple times during dinner, I'd be like, "So what's going on with the cover?" And she'd be like, "We're eating right now. We're not. Now is not the time."
I'm glad you drew a line.
Yes.
Wow.
Very sloppy line. Very sketchy.
It's fine.
But there is a line, and that's what counts.
Well, I think everything this last year has felt like we had work, family, personal time, and that all just got mushed together like this. It's all on top of itself.
Yeah.
We, at any given time, have 2 kids attending school on Zoom. We're trying to do stuff on Zoom, do our own work, like talk to each other. So it's definitely been crazy in terms of the last year. But yeah, we actually made it through. We finished it. It comes out in a month, which is hard to believe. Yeah.
I like that. Well, it's really, so what we do here, it's really interesting you say that, because what we do here is these imagination sessions. We like to talk to our guests about imagination and the role it plays in their life. And so, with all of that, during the pandemic, being parents, not to just one child, two, and your own lives and everything like that, how were you able to how are you able to keep your imagination going and be able to do this? And, or did it play a role? Was it important to keep that going to give you the sanity through it all? Like, did your imagination come into play here with what was going on? Like both sides of that.
I think for me, it's varied a lot day to day. And sometimes you're so stripped raw by all the day-to-day stuff, like trying to keep the kindergartner in front of his Zoom screen. He's like dangling in the chair.
Good luck.
I did a lot of gardening. And gardening is remarkably creative and also physical. I've also been spending a lot of time doing karate. So I think that I've made my work be as efficient as possible. Like I usually work on the Goldbergs as a graphic designer, and like I would just work through that stuff as fast as possible and like do my 95% version of everything, send it back to them. I mean, we're on season 8, so this is not a new wheel that we are constructing, but and then I just would try to pour myself as much as, on the good days, you pour yourself into it with as much fury as you can. So, what about you? Yo, you sat in the car.
Well, that was my,
Yes.
His office.
Yeah, my thing, because usually when I work, I would go to a coffee shop or something. There's something about being, out of the house. If I'm in the house, it's like so easy to get distracted.
Yeah.
So I started, it started off with me and Milo, who's my 5-year-old. He was still taking naps. So I would
and
take
he wasn't
him.
In school.
Yeah, he wasn't in school. So I would take him out of the house in the afternoon, and we'd park in like some shady spot on the street. And he would have his work, which would be like I'd give him some books.
Oh my gosh.
And then I would try and do my work. And half the time he would sit in the back seat and be like, "How many more minutes? Now how many more minutes?" It was like having Yoda on your shoulder, like yelling at you. I think very similar.
Well, no, I get that. Yeah.
It was like being kind of forced to, you have an hour to do it. But then I think with the kids, it's like, we definitely had to be more creative in terms of like, you can't go to Disneyland, you can't go to an arcade, you can't go to a trampoline place. What are we going to do with them that's fun and different? So like one day we did everything in the house was a blanket fort. Then we did the floor is lava for like a week. Then we went to the ball that we threw back and forth. And it was just like trying to come up with new stuff.
I think the creative parenting side of it was maybe like 15-20% though. The rest of it's just like getting through the day.
Yeah, totally.
Like we are not Pinterest. We are not.
Oh, no.
It's just like sometimes you do come up with a good idea and run with it.
Yeah, we did some cooking. I started doing a thing where I just wanted to document how weird it was.
Oh yeah.
And so I started taking pictures every day of just like what we were doing and like how it was changed. So like even if we went on a walk, it's like you have to have masks, you have to wash your hands when you come back in. And that I think helped a little too, because it forced me to think every day, like, all right, what are we going to do today that's a little different from the day before? So I'm not posting pictures every day of us sitting in front of screens, which is what we did a lot of the time, frankly. So it was definitely one of those like necessity was the mother of invention for a lot of things. But I think we're all ready to, like, our kids went back to in-person school 2 weeks ago for 2 days a week, 90 minutes a day. But that was huge for us.
Sure.
to get it back.
I can imagine. Well, I mean, Elizabeth, you probably, deal with some of that too, right? Like how did your
Absolutely.
imagination as a with that kind of world. So it's interesting. So your creative side, how did you keep it going? Your creative side, did you see it suffer at all through this? Did you see your imagination change or the weird? You also put those jokes up too, those puns or
Yeah,
those.
we started it
I love those.
So my 10-year
Seriously.
started doing like a joke a day. And then after a couple weeks, he kind of got tired of it. But I was like, this is a good idea. Again, this is like a thing to think of every day. So yeah, we've been doing that for almost 400 days now, trying to find like a new joke every day, which has definitely. I had my cousin ask me about 6 months back. He's like, "Do you write those jokes?" I'm like, "No way do I write those jokes."
He's a curator.
Yeah,
curating.
we just try and like go through and like find stuff that, because obviously it's a blackboard we're putting in front of our house. It can't be. There's a lot of jokes we can't do, for consumption. And so, but it's like people we see. It's so fun to see people outside the house. Like they stop at the house and they take pictures of it, and they like if they see us, yeah, they wave at us. We had someone leave us on our car the other day, like a whole joke book, which might have been.
Oh.
Yeah, or it might have been like a, hey, you need to up your game a little bit. I don't know.
What's today's joke? What's today's joke? Do you have today's joke?
I haven't done today's yet.
Yesterday's.
Oh, yesterday's is definitely a potty joke.
I don't know, Elizabeth, can we do it? Do you think?
Yeah, we can do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's, if you're an American in the living room, what are you in the bathroom? European.
It's actually a good one. I like that one.
It's cute.
My 10-year-old
like that one. That's
that
the level of
one.
our jokes.
Yeah. Some are a little bit like, my favorite one that we've done was, why did the hipster burn his mouth? He drank coffee before it was cool.
Oh, gosh.
Elizabeth,
I like that.
So what's funny about it too is it shows you like every day I'll put some up and I'm like, oh, this one's pretty weak. And then someone on Facebook will be like, this is my favorite so far. Yeah. And then one day really great, like people will be like, oh, boo. And so it's just like interesting to see.
It's cool though.
I think comedy is a really
fun.
wide pendulum swing for, what people like and respond to.
But it's cool also that we're a part of our small community lives in that way, like that I'm on a Buy Nothing group, and someone posted a picture of our sign and was like, oh, now I'm going to do a something thing. Because she does a community art gallery and stuff. So she likes all that stuff that brings the community together. And I'd like to think that there are probably 30 people out there circling the block and appreciating the joke. I mean, I've seen probably at least and many dogs too. The dogs love it.
I like, there's in my neighborhood, there's a girl who is in, I think, high school or whatever, and she does chalk art every week in front of their house on the sidewalk, and it's gorgeous. It's phenomenal. And at one point she said she's like applying to these schools or whatever and stuff like that, and scholarships or something, be like a thing, but she's been doing these things kind of seasonal. And then during the protest, she had all famous different scenes from American history and did all this stuff. And they actually in our neighborhood did a Black History art walk that they did through chalk art through the neighborhoods and things like that, that she curated and stuff. And so it's really neat that you guys do things like that, because it makes it from someone who's receiving it makes the neighborhood feel a little more like a neighborhood.
We had in our neighborhood who did this great thing. She had this big long fence, and she just put up a sign that said, this is now like the neighborhood art gallery, because we can't go to museums right now. And so she put up these little plastic pockets, and people just came through and started filling them up. And we went to go see it, and it was like the whole length of her yard was just filled with pieces of art that people had done.
Yeah, she has like 50 to 100 pieces. And
really cool.
She got a vending machine at a local set deck recycler place.
Yeah.
And she puts art in the vending machine, and you can buy anything in local.
I love that.
Oh, that's so smart.
That's such a good idea.
That's really smart.
And it's a great idea.
So I think, this is a long way to answer your question, but I feel like we tried to stay creative. It was definitely a little bit harder in the last year, but I also think it inspired us in ways we wouldn't have been inspired otherwise. Like I had all these plans to do projects last year, And when the pandemic happened, I got this new idea for a project, and that was how I spent most of my summer, was working on this brand new project that kind of was a way for me to process what was going on with the pandemic and like what was happening. And so I think, again, that never would have entered my mind had we not been kind of living through it. So it's the nice thing I think about creativity and imagination is it can give you kind of an escape from that stuff and a way to deal with it at the same time. At least that's what I tell my students.
It's like perfect. Yeah.
No, I think that's great. Well, I think it's time we played with our imaginations a little bit now, and this comes to the interactive portion of our show. And everyone at home watching, and whether you're watching live with us right now or later you come across this episode, please partake. So part of the fun here and our snazzy backgrounds is because we're going to jump in and do an audio jack. And for those of you that don't know that are watching, an audio jack is an audio-based movie. So you listen to it because it's audio-based. There's no video. And there's no dialogue, there's no talking, and there's no music either. It's hundreds of sounds edited together to tell a story for your imagination. So you're going to close your eyes and listen, and you might hear the wind in trees blowing, and then you hear feet, they stop, and then a door opens. Your imagination memory is going to turn on because we all have an association to sound. Now, what that association is, that's up to you because everyone's memory and imagination is different. They're going to converge when you hear it because we have this great element of the way our mind processes this. There's a huge healthy element to this as well, so you can research more of that at audiojack.com and see all the research we've done with brain programs and cool education programs. But we're just going to have some fun and get a chance to hang out and use our imaginations. And so you listen to the audio jack, and if you think you're running through the forest being chased by a teddy bear and lasers are coming out of his eyes, that's what the story is. And that's the beauty of this. There's no wrong answer. It's whatever you want it to be. And so we're all going to listen, and everyone at home is going to listen as well to the audio jack. And then we're going to play it one more time. So the first time, just close your eyes, let your imagination go. The second time, if you have a pen and paper handy or something like that, start brainstorming or just listen to it again. And then now make it what you want the narrative to be. And just, let your imagination have fun with it. Then when we're done, we're going to jump in, and our lovely guests and Elizabeth and myself are going to share what we came up with, and everyone watching will write in the comments what they came up on their social media choice, wherever you're watching it. I know people are watching it on Cosm on the website, which you guys should be watching it, but people are watching it on Facebook as well, and that's okay too. And so write it in the comments and we'll share your stories, and it's going to be really fun to see what we all come up with. So you game? Are you still with us, Matt, Julianne? Haven't scared you off yet?
Hopefully, some of the sounds you hear will not be our screaming children in the background. That might.
That's awesome. Excellent. Nice. In that case, I know which one to pick now. So what we're going to do here is we're going to hop into the Audio Jack app, and I'm hoping it works. Zoom has been kind of weird lately. So we'll see what happens. Hey, there's my iMac. Let's see if it works. Come on. And there we go. You are now inside my phone. And right there you go. That is from my trip last week. That is in the cloud forests in Costa Rica at about almost 6,000 feet up in the elevation up there. It's absolutely amazing.
Do they have monkeys in the trees down there?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and sloths on the Caribbean side and things like that. Actually, where I was staying when I was down by the beach, so I stayed a week in the mountains and then a week on the shore. And there were monkeys while I was having breakfast just in the trees, kind of.
That is so cool.
And stuff like that. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, it was really nice. It was a very small, little remote town. So it was very cool to be away from everything. Like all the roads were dirt and mud. So we've got all these different categories. So we're inside the Audio Jack app now. And for those of you at home, you can download this for free. It's a fantastic tool. And we're going to pick a category here. And I've been going back and forth on what to do here. And I thought, we could do something from the action adventure category. But that's a little bit kind of on the nose with it. I thought we could have a little more fun if we did something from the wildlife category.
Yeah.
And I was trying to decide. So what you're going to hear, this isn't me standing with a microphone next to a bunch of animals. These are hundreds of sounds of animals edited together to let you experience this in your own way. I've worked with the World Wildlife Fund, the Humane Society, the Ta Foundation in China, with all these different organizations to be able to create these. And so it's going to give you an authentic experience, but it'll be your interpretation, which is going to be really neat. So let me ask our guests, which one would you like to do?
Oh, Julian,
well, I'm sorry. My eyes go straight to Siberian tiger.
Okay. Excellent. Yes, I have not had a chance to hang out with the Siberian tiger yet. So I think we should do that one. Elizabeth, you up for it?
I'm ready.
All right. Excellent. Cool. All right. So everyone at home, everyone watching here, our guests, we're going to close our eyes, hang out for a little bit. Whoops, that's whale. Sorry. Siberian tiger. It is 3 minutes and 52 seconds. And where'd that sound come from? Making sure this is off. I'm going to mute you. I'm going to mute myself as well, so we don't have to worry about exterior sounds coming in as well and things like that. And it's going to play twice. And so the first time, just let your imagination go. And the second time, create a narrative from any perspective you want. And then afterward, we're going to share. So without further ado, let me mute the room. And I'm going to mute myself. Yes, that is possible. And then we're going to go from there. So without further ado, Siberian tiger. Enjoy. All right, so that audio jack is going to play one more time. Now make the story what you want it to be, and then we're going to share. All right, there we go. You can all unmute yourselves now. Sorry, I was feverishly drawing. You couldn't tell.
Meditated.
Yeah, I was jamming away. I have my book that I've been using. Elizabeth loves this book. Yes, that's awesome. That was fun. I hope you guys like that one.
Yeah, that was intense. I mean, it feels very real.
Yeah,
I had a very good picture in my head.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that moment never happened in real life. That is completely created. But those are the authentic sounds of the flora and fauna in that region, which would be probably the Sea of Japan, I would say, somewhere in Eastern Asia, Northeast Asia, closer to that area, that part of the globe is where you'd find most Siberian tigers, I think.
Are there
So,
like snow tigers or?
They're Siberian tigers, so they're gonna be the white ones. They're gonna look white.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
But they also don't
they're
have
really fascinating. If you ever have time to do a little reading on them, they're very neat creatures.
They don't have to be white though.
No, not at all.
Oh, okay.
But that's what people kind of associate them as.
Yeah.
Those from that region are. But a lot of them are because they do use that for camouflage for that coating during that time of year. Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to share ours first, though we'd love to hear from you. We've got plenty of time today, which is awesome. I think. Elizabeth, do you want to go first or should I?
I'll go. Sure.
All right.
Why
Excellent.
not?
All right, have at it. And then wait, before you go, anyone that's still watching on your different streams, all you guys out there, please start writing in the comments, and then we will read them when we find them. So the floor is yours, Elizabeth.
So I imagine that I was traveling a long distance, and I came across this large piece of land that's obviously somebody owned, but it didn't seem like anybody was there at that particular time. And there was livestock and stuff, and I thought to myself, okay, I can grab some supplies that I need and I can just be on my way again. And so there was a pond and I was really thirsty. So I decided to go up and grab some water and just so I go up to the water's edge and like grab my canister and dip my canister into the water. And as I'm doing that, I see the tiger approaching very slowly towards me on the other side of the pond. And we lock eyes for a moment, and I think to myself, I'm dead in this moment. I'm not, because he doesn't unlock eyes with me the entire time, and he keeps inching closer and closer and closer. And then there's that sudden moment of attack, and instead of it coming across the water, he attacks one of the livestock to the side. And in that moment, I'm watching as he's ripping the flesh apart from this animal, and I slowly start backing further and further away, like not taking my eyes off of him, and slowly make my way to the edge line of the woods and turn around as the storm begins. On to the next place. Wherever I go next.
I like that. That's cool.
I like
that has the intensity.
Person too. That was I was seeing it from like a third person perspective, but that's much more chilling to be you doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one was primal. I felt like there's something about the tiger and the attack that like it really makes your heart beat faster. Like that was something we studied in film school is that there's, even though you don't hang around those animals, we have something in us that's like this primal memory of those animals. So whenever sound designers like create, new predators like the T-Rex in Jurassic Park, they use like actual predators to build that together because it like pings something deep inside us.
Oh, that's interesting.
Our ancestry to react to.
Yeah, it's really neat. I've done that with a couple of monsters in some of these audio jacks that you may stumble across for that exact reason. Yeah, I like that, Elizabeth.
That's scary.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. So mine was I had a very I've come up with different stories from this one as I've heard it over, and this time I had a very National Geographic feel to this, but shot cinematically. Like this was not Ken Burns. This was like part David Fincher meets Michael Bay, I guess. Like for some reason. Like just very, very different though. Like detail, like the shots of like close-ups of the paw, like just hitting the fresh snow and sinking in each crush. So you're not seeing the animal completely, but you're kind of being teased by it. You're seeing the environment around it, the leaves piled up at like bases of trees in like a thick forest with heavy cloud cover, bright sunlight, but it's kind of either early morning or late afternoon in the winter I got, where you have the low clouds and there's just that horizon of light that comes through, and sometimes it's bright, that kind of like glowing. So that's the Michael Bay in it, that kind of I wasn't going J.J. Abrams with the lens flares. I was keeping it very.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, borderline Transformers. We actually kind of had that, like that. If you ever saw, I think it was in the first or second Transformers, there was a fight in the forest, and it had that kind of vibe. So now that I think about it, but I actually drew a picture. If you can, you're not going to be able to see it because of my green screen.
No.
Well, hold on. Wait, there is a way to do this. Come on, gosh. All right, wait,
Whoa,
there.
Wait, I see it.
I know. There it is. Okay.
Ooh.
So you can kind of see there's a little stream coming out of a forest. There's some animals in the thick of it, kind of on the edge, and that's kind of where they were kind of butted up against.
Do you jot down notes while you're listening to the second pass?
Yeah.
Like live journaling kind of thing?
Yeah, brainstorming.
Yeah. I remember last time we did this, I think it was Lindsay who did it. She had a whole story, like a stream of consciousness story that she wrote the second time.
Yes.
Yeah, like, she did.
It was amazing. I was like, this should be, she gets the book deal.
Yeah. She is a fantastic writer.
Yeah.
I was impressed by that. I think for me, my process is like, I have to, like, I like that you do it twice because I definitely have to, there's like the first time you have it and like just listening to it, the reactions to it. And my process is a lot of like refining.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the first time you're hearing it, the Audiojack for the first time, if you've never heard it before, you're reacting to it. So your story is going to change as it's evolving your imagination, because what we're doing is, especially with adults, we're fighting it subconsciously. Like, no, this has to be this because of this. This sound is this sound. It has to, there's that logic element where we're trying to find the logic in it. Whereas kids are just like, whoa, whatever happened. There's that element to it too. But definitely listening to it a second time allows you to refine it. And then the activities in the Audiojack app, there's some Ray activities, and it has, the second step is brainstorm, because you've heard it once. Now it's time to kind of collect your thoughts and then create from there. So that's what I got for mine. It was very National Geographic. It was these but shot super cinematically. Like, I would love to see that.
I can see.
But it was an approach. Yeah, it was an approach kind of coming to the deer. I forgot what kind of deer they are. I have to look it up, but there's a specific type of deer out there, and they're kind of approaching them and then making the pounce. But it's kind of a sloppy attack because there's ice in the snow, and the tiger lands and slides into one of the trees and like tries scrambling for another one, and he's kind of jumping around a little bit, like kind of frantic, and thought he had one right off the bat. Like, I don't know if you've ever like seen a bunch of fish and like as a kid try to grab one and they all scattered, like it's not going to happen. It was almost one of those.
I've caught him,
but then eventually, okay.
We
know you're
awesome.
One, though. Yeah. All right.
After many hours.
Yeah. On the karate, then he tries to catch the fly with the chopstick. He does it. He's like, this is easy.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Ladies and gentlemen, Elizabeth Saint, if you haven't met already.
Oh, you're this way.
There. Either way. Wherever she is. So yeah, that's what I got. I eventually grabbed one and got it and ate, but was like a little banged up and was eating half from the river and just exhausted, and and then kind of faded away as we drift back on the shot, more that cinematic element. So we went back to the forest, like almost like, and that's the thing I've always wanted to like work on one of those shows, because it'd be kind of cool if we're just kind of panning through and you catch this moment, you have it happen, and then you drift away and you go back into like something else. It's like, damn, like when and part of it is, I think when I was just traveling, I was up in these forests by myself, and there's no one there because the pandemic has shut down a lot of tourism and stuff. I think there was like 4 people in this national forest. And there were things, I mean, there's pumas up there. There's other animals in different areas and stuff. And it's like, you hear shit when it's just you in the middle of nowhere, and it's things you're not familiar with. So you definitely don't know what could also be watching you. So I had a little bit of that vibe.
We're glad you're here.
Yeah. Thanks. Me too. I did see some crazy stuff. We actually found, really quickly, we did find a endangered frog that they thought was extinct and is not. So that happened on a night hike. We'll talk about that next time. Yeah,
ooh,
absolutely amazing.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, now let's hear from the two of you. I would love to hear what you came up with. Yes, the floor is yours.
I can go first. So at the beginning, you're trying to piece it together, and I'm like, is this a car? Is this wind? Whatever. So, and the first way through, I had a different look to it. But I think as I refined it the second time, I'm in a grassland. It's one of those like super broad ones with really high grass, and just mountains way off in the distance, super wild. the grass is all going like, and you're following like a guy with a scythe going.
Ooh, okay.
So he has a scythe and he's walking up, and then he goes and puts the grass in an animal pen that's near the water, and he takes like a mouthful of water and then goes into the house, and then you start hearing the tiger approaching. And then the camera is kind of like, the camera was on the scythe, and then the camera's like kind of on the shoulder of the tiger, and the tiger's walking in, and pounces, and all the wildlife managed to get into the water successfully.
Nice.
And the tiger, on his final leap, he injures his paw or something like that, and so he kind of like, he is internalizing his frustrations and like working through his vocabulary, and then he has like water, and then the storm comes up and shows you his mood.
So what was the mooching like that?
That was him like licking his paw and drinking the water.
Okay.
He's like,
I like that.
I'm gonna kill the I put wildebeest in it because geography.
Yeah.
Geography is no limit. No, it's the ones that's all in the nature documentaries, probably in Africa, where like the attacker comes up in the Lion King or whatever. Okay, where they're all standing a bird and they all crunch together, and then the predator like picks off the ones on the edges, or the ones who are smaller or have baby injured or something like that. But in this story, they all got away into the water, because this is probably not the first time that this has happened.
That's so nice.
Oh, good.
I like that. Nice. All right, Matt, you got the same thing, right?
No, mine was I did it myself, because my first one went super dark and I had to pull it back. I felt like, but I mean, very similar to you guys. I was picturing, like, I had two locations in my mind. Mm-hmm. I was picturing one of those, like, when I first heard the wind, which, by the way, I want to get that sound just to fall asleep to, because I love that like windy sound. It was great.
Okay.
But
there's actually the environment category. There's some that have that in it, that are through this whole thing in it. So you're dialed in.
I've had to use those sometimes when we travel and I don't have like a fan in the room. I'll pull up like one of those environmental, tracks on the phone.
Nice. Well, we've got you covered with an Audiojack subscription that we're setting both of you up with. I think I already gave you one, but I'll get one to you as well, Julianne.
So nice. Thank you. So I was picturing like one of those high Mongolian steppes, like the really high ones.
Steppes of Central Asia.
With like the brown stone. That was the very first thing I saw. And like you could see the tiger in the distance. And then beneath it, I was picturing this like river going through like kind of a lush green valley with like a little couple of huts, and this mom whacking, like some kind of, whacking, but like beating clothes or something on the shore, or like whacking grass or something, and a little kid playing next to her, like a little 3-year-old. I don't know why I went to kid. This is very Spielberg of me, but
I like that.
This little kid playing with like a little necklace, and then back up to the tiger, and this is where you see the tiger for the first time. And this is a starving tiger, like its ribs are showing. It's been out on those steps for a long time. It needs to go down below and it sees down below and sees that there's stuff moving around. And that's where we see there was like a pen. I also saw like a pen, but I was picturing like those musk ox with like the big horns kind of milling around. And then the kid dropping a little necklace, the floaty necklace in the stream. And so the kid runs down along the side of the stream to get the necklace back. And when they go to pick it up, they stand and they see the tiger across the stream staring at it. And the first time when there was the attack, I was like, well, it's the kid. That kid's dead. When I heard the munching sounds, I was upset. And so the second time through, I was like, all right, no, wait.
No.
Attacks. You're editing.
The kid, save the kid.
You cut back to the mom. The mom runs and sees the kid standing there, and the tiger got one of the muskox instead.
Oh, okay.
And she pulls the kid. Okay. I had to edit myself on that because the first time was a little too intense.
I like that, but I like that you had a very similar scene as Elizabeth. Like, that's crazy.
It was so interesting that you went kind of first person with it. But I was very much like, I think that was probably a distancing thing too, because again, there was something about just hearing this that was so like, it gets your heart racing, and it was, for me, like to pull myself out of that scene was made me a little more safe, I think.
Yeah.
I like that.
It was brave of you, Elizabeth, to be in there looking at the tiger.
Staring it down. I'm preparing myself for something that might potentially happen in the future.
There it is. I like that. Now you're ready. In case you meet a Siberian tiger, Elizabeth, I think you're going to be okay. I'm not.
You never
worried.
know what's going to happen.
It's all about mental preparation, right?
Yeah.
It
is.
There's a part of me that's a prepper, I'm not going to lie. It's in there somewhere. I feel it. Contingency plan, check.
You're ready to go. I like it. That was awesome. It was really neat hearing how all your story, how they all kind of had pieces of things that were similar into that too, especially with you and your wife both connecting with the environment.
Yeah.
You know, Julianne, how you had that. You said Mongolian steps, and Matt, you said the same. Matt, you said that, but you had those steps as well, or something like that, or that high.
We both had that pop into our head, and then I think his was a little more rocky, and mine was a little more grassy, but like the valley with the hills and stuff. Yeah.
But I love it. Or yours is like everyone gets away.
I know.
Tiger Star.
This is why I'm not.
Another day.
This is why I'm not.
That's cool.
No.
It's really neat. This is really fun. Yeah. So, what do you guys think? We have a couple minutes left. What do you think of this? Being able to kind of jump in and do this together.
The nature ones are really intense, I think, because when we did the other one that I did with you, it was like, okay, yeah, I can picture this scene, but the nature ones, you really feel like you're there.
At the end of the first listen, he went.
Yeah. that was there. That's why I said it felt like meditation. It was like I was like deep in it, and when we came out of it, it was like, whoa.
We've been playing meditation, both because it's good, and also because our son responds to it, and he needs help winding down and stuff. And I think he might be really into listening to this stuff.
Yeah, he would love it.
Stuff. And unlike the kind of white noise things that you've downloaded, this is very evocative and gripping and flow to it. So
that's actually a thing. Audiojack has been used a lot to help people fall asleep, because what your mind does is it starts to focus on the story. It's like, counting sheep, but better, because you're not, and you get to put yourself into this because there's no language barrier, there's no gender barrier, there's no race barrier, there's no story being told. It's your way of evolving, and you put it on repeat a little bit, and it gives you a chance to free your mind in a way. And that's part of the science. Like, if seriously, like, people that are watching, go to audiojack.com, and you guys as well, check it out and look at the research that we've been doing in that space. But it helps you because you get to connect to it in a personal way in the story. And not all of them are intense. And actually there's there's two in the wildlife category that are not in the app right now because of the pandemic, because of how intense they are. If you thought that was intense. Yeah, there's one called Lion that I made with the Humane Society International called Blood Lions. And actually it was Humane Society America, I think. And it was a documentary about people, I think it's in Texas and a couple other places, where they do canned hunts, where they raise animals just to be hunted. And they've been shutting them down left and right, but there was one that did a whole thing on it. And so I made an Audiojack to go along with it. They did all these activations with it that allowed you to feel like you were a lion, but you hunted the hunters and got them. But it's pretty intense, to say the least. Wow. From that perspective. Yeah, but the first wildlife, what was that?
The depth of it, the picture was so vivid, I think. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like the intensity.
Yeah.
It really felt like you said, it's amazing how you hear those sounds. It just automatically makes you focus on that thing. It pulls you out of your own train of thought.
Yeah.
Puts you on that.
There's the other ones in here. The other ones in the app, you're totally fine listening to. Whale is very nice. Wolf, actually, I made with actual wolves, playing with them, and took those pieces to make one with the wolf connection out here in Southern California. On the farm, you're fine. Elephant, you're fine.
I want to play with a wolf.
Yeah, you should. When you come and visit, I'll take you. And there's even full moon hikes you can do with the wolves. It's amazing.
We can howl at the moon together?
Yeah, it's called Wolf Connection. Yeah, it's phenomenal. So for that one, I actually went up there after it had closed and went there during feeding, and that's where they tend to howl the most. And I was the only person there And I went around and had microphones in different areas and got different samples of sounds and stuff. But then they all came up to me, and there's video on my Instagram of them like playing with me and jumping on me. And the people there said they've never seen the wolves like really gravitate towards a stranger like that. And I got to. I absolutely was. And then we had an event where we actually they take some out to help, educate people. We had a whole event at this big house in Malibu. People got to meet some of the wolves, and we did a giant audio jack together with like 50 people. It was really neat. Yeah. So that's the wolf audio jack one, and the others are fine. But the first one ever I made with the World Wildlife Fund, and it's when Jared Leto was the ambassador for the basically people that are poaching and things like that in that element. And we did a activation at his house. I knew him back from when I used to work at the Roxy. And so we put this together, and I made one called Black Rhino. It's not in the app right now, but it gives you the perspective of actually being hunted. And people were crying in the middle of it. And then we did chimpanzee after, which is really nice and happy, but it was to evoke emotion. And I know we're running almost a little bit late, but the point of this is to create empathy, so you can feel what it's like being an animal. This isn't putting VR glasses on and other stuff like that. This allows your imagination to connect. And we actually took that one and brought it to China for their anti-ivory campaign. And yes, I know it's not ivory on the horns, but that's why they're hunted out there, is for their horns. And we actually got to do a thing with Chinese radio and did the audio jack, and people wrote in, and it was super impactful. And that's where this whole evolution of the wildlife category came from.
Wow.
But those other ones, yeah. So there's my little spiel on that. But the other ones in there are totally safe to do. They're not intense at all. You'll be just fine. But I took those out because the pandemic and things have been really intense. I didn't want people to actually stumble on it and have a really traumatic experience without some kind of context. So
interesting.
But they will
be an audio person. Yeah. I mean, I play music, but I'm not, and I just having to lean on my hearing for an extended period of time and let it tell me, and it doesn't matter if I peak. I can't. There's nothing that's gonna come to help me. It's really an interesting experience.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad too. And I'd love to talk to you more offline about this too, as well, as someone from that space. And I know we didn't get to too many comments in here. I see there's 34 comments, but I can't scroll on your page, Elizabeth, and see them. I saw someone said they were being lowered into the jungle. That was kind of interesting.
I was lowered down into the jungle from a helicopter and was slashing my way through a cleared area where the animals were all gathered.
Nice. That's intense. Who wrote that one?
Jenny Pittman.
Thanks, Jenny. That's pretty cool. Well, at least we got one. I can't scroll through these other comments here, but those of you that did, I'm glad you participated, and you're awesome. And I'm sure your stories are wonderful, and I will find them later. Thank you so much for joining us, Matt and Julianne. Great to finally meet you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for having us
so much.
Absolutely. David, this was great. And definitely, I want to expose our kids to this too. Probably not in this format, but
put it on a speaker in the house.
And changing our names.
We're gonna
have
mustaches.
Yeah.
But I think they would love this. I think it's so inspiring for kids. Because like Julianne says, it's like when you only have that one sense, it really forces you to visualize stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the intensity too, is that you don't have anything else but the sound. So it's a little bit like you're naked, like you're out there kind of just conjuring this with your one sense where we're used to using a lot of them. So
yeah. Well, like in a horror movie, you at least see them coming down the hall. With this, it's like there are some Halloween ones that are no longer labeled Halloween. So in the action adventure category, if you stumble upon it,
nice.
But there's ones where it's silent and all of a sudden something happens, but you don't know what's going to come get you.
Well, you and I should partner up on a horror movie where the audio jack sounds, they can't kill you, can they? Real. And someone starts creating soundscapes.
Evil sounds.
People are turning up dead. He was my sound.
I'm totally down. Awesome. This is great. Well, thank you so much. We have to wrap up. I mean, I could do this for hours, but thank you so much again for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot for having us on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you all for watching. And that's it for us for Imagination Sessions. Until next time. Bye, everyone.